Mario Kart World changes everything. Now everybody is saying that Mario Kart World is very not in line with any other game, which is for one perspective true. But I think that what Nintendo is doing is something they are trying to get out of. What I'm saying is that Mario Kart World is something new and fresh, and that if you just pay attention to the little illustration and how the game looks like, you can just see that it looks worse than in realism aspect than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a 7-year-old game. Knowing that, what Nintendo is doing is that they're trying to move away from that realistic approach that they tried to do for the Wii U. Like they tried to have more better graphics, just like what all Xbox and PS4 is doing, and they just keep on fetching more better graphics with better controllers. But you know that Nintendo always tries to innovate. What I think what they're trying to do is that they're trying to go back to the old-fashioned ways of their wacky ways, like how Mario Kart Double Dash is super weird and on a super weird console, and is a weird game, and it has 2 people instead of 1, which is much more cartoony, and it has much more different and more weird things, and it's much more wacky. And how the N64 has this like weird controller. It has three like sticks instead of 2, and it's much more harder to control, but it's still wacky. What I'm trying to say is that Nintendo isn't trying to push its limits and trying to make the Switch 2 more better, and they don't want to be the same old way of their 3-lap system, learn easy and master hard, but they're trying to make it different, so it's much more player based and much more easier for people to understand, and they're innovating, what I'm trying to say, and it's different. It's not the same because they don't want to be the same, and they want to change the way they do it now, and they're trying to not fit in the ways that they did their games before, and adding new things like grinding and whale riding and all these different carts and cows on carts. They're doing all these different things just because they want to change. The one thing that even proves my point more is that Mario Kart World was actually supposed to be a Switch 1 game, but because the Switch 1 couldn't handle it, they changed it to Switch 2. And another thing that proved my point is that the cow only came in, and all the NPCs only came in when there was one illustrator just for fun made a little doodle of a little cow from the Moo Meadows on a little truck, and the directors loved it so much that they said to all the programmers and the modelers to make all the NPCs that we see on the map to be in as characters they can play. And they said that, well, how's it gonna be fun when you just have all of the characters? And they added these things, these like lunch packet boxes. I don't know what they're called, but these lunch packet thingies are pretty funny because when you eat them, they give you new costumes and new NPCs that you can unlock, which is another thing they try to make it different. Instead of you unlocking carts after grinding for hours on coins, just wasting your time, you go around the map and explore and find these little Yoshi restaurants where you can find different things. And I'm not saying that the Mario Kart World is worse than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Matter of fact, I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is better than it because it has much more tracks, and it has really good character selection, and I don't really care about the NPCs. Like, okay, how is a Goomba gonna drive a car? But what I'm saying is that they're trying to be different, and difference is what they're trying to do, because when Mario Kart World came in, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it got much more broader, and it was a little bit, had the audience of a broader audience, which was just a party game that you could play with your friends. But Mario Kart World is not just for like your dad and your friends to play. It's a game that you can play with yourself, and it's fun because it's more single player based, and it has a lot of single player like things in it than any other game. Like it has around 200 intermission tracks and has 32 tracks, which is not a lot for tracks, but the intermission tracks are sometimes straight away lines, which is extremely boring in online. But that's the thing, because if you have a game that's all just straight lines, then obviously the person that's playing it will make it that they play it so much that they'll start thinking of it differently and making it seem like it's fun, which it is, because you can literally shock people on straight lines and get Mario Karted like 15 times on it because there's 24 players. And speaking of a lot of players, there's a lot of differences from it, and they're basically upgrading the experience while minusing some things, like there is no more anti-gravity, or there's no more wheelies from Mario Kart Wii, but that happened a long time ago. But they're pretty much, instead of adding anti-gravity, they added wall riding, and they added grinding on rails, and they also added much more much more information in the game, or like things to do. Because like if you don't have Wi-Fi at your home, or like you just don't want to play online, then on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe you're not gonna have as much fun as if you were playing online, and you're just gonna play with the NPCs, which are super bad. But they upgraded the NPCs to make it much more harder, and they also added the like a whole free roam mode, which you can explore the whole world and get like cool cosmetics, like I said before. But you can see how Double Dash kind of reminds me of this, because Double Dash added more like a difference, and ever since Double Dash happened, they lots of people are begging Nintendo to make another game like that, something different, something unique. What I'm trying to say, if you want to sum this up, the game is unique. It's not the same as others, and I just want to clarify that if something's different, then you can accept change, and it's not something that it's bad. It kind of sounds corny, but it's not something that you can't really fix, because change is always gonna happen, and the more change happens, the more you're gonna adapt to it. So we're gonna probably see much more games for the Nintendo Switch 2, and we're probably gonna get something even different. Like we might not get like a DLC. We might get a DLC for Mario Kart World, but we might not just get tracks. Maybe it adds like a whole new mode or something, which might make people more happy, might make people more sad. But that's the thing. The thing is that even if you don't like Mario Kart World, there's something to like about it, because it has so much things in it that I can't talk about in this video, or else this would be I would be here talking until the end of time. But what I'm trying to say is, all I'm saying is that the game is unique, it's funny, it's cartoony, it's something that your freaking grandma could play if you just tell her that's Mario Kart. And if you play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's much more, I guess it's kind of more broader, but it's still a little different. So the thing is that the realistic approach of Nintendo is not gonna come in the near future, and I think that this is not just Mario Kart World. Maybe they're gonna change it in the games. Like you can see, Donkey Kong Bonanza is also making a new way of Donkey Kong. It looks much more different. They're adding Pauline to it for some reason, and they're also having this Rock Buddy guy. I think Pauline is the same as the Rock Buddy, I'm not sure, but whatever it is, they changed the whole design of the Donkey Kong. They made it so he could smash stuff. They made new move sets and everything, meaning that they're trying to move away. And you can just seeing the demo on YouTube. I just saw how like weird it looks. It looks like super funky, and it's a GameCube card. But I know that people are upset with that. But I think, like I said before, change is always for the better. And I think that overall, that Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be a great game. But on the broader and long-term perspective, I believe that the whole franchises of Nintendo and all the IPs are going to be changed to be more cartoony, because they want to have a broader experience. But then you guys are going to be like, actually, then the GameCube didn't sell well because the PS2 was that, and it only sold 20 million units. Well, the Nintendo Switch 2 sold out really well, and because we've been waiting for 7 years, people are still gonna buy it after maybe 1 to 2 years. Maybe they're gonna price drop, and maybe they're gonna change it. But I'm getting off topic. What I'm trying to say overall is that Mario Kart World is something not to be scared of. It's nothing not to be something like annoyed of. Nintendo isn't trying to make it different just to do it for the sake of doing it. They're doing it because they want to change and they want to have a new perspective. It's like when you eat something for like 5 days straight, you're not gonna like it anymore. And then when you're gonna eat something new, you like it. It's like if you eat apples for 5 days, you're not gonna like the apple anymore. But if you eat a grape, then you're gonna start liking the grape. It's basically telling you, your brain is like, I want to try something new. And Nintendo is basically telling you that we're gonna make a new version of Mario Kart. And I know they're making it for $80. I know it's super expensive. Matter of fact, I don't even have one. But I know that it might seem that it's not good, and yeah, it's not. Some people say it's not good, and I respect that. I know that's true because people just don't like the formula. But Nintendo did add 3-lap sessions just with your friends, and that's perfectly fine. There's a group of people that like to just play the 3-lap games. You can you can host a friend server, and you can just play the 3-lap games, 3-lap tracks all as long as you want, and you don't need to do the intermission tracks. But that's the fun of it, because if you do the intermission tracks, then you can experience something different and something unique and something that's much more broad, much more much more dopamine rising than just doing a 3-lap track. Because if you just do that over and over, obviously you're gonna get bored of it, and that's not good. But with the online tracks, with the intermission, there's over 200, and you're playing with people online and not NPCs, so it's much more funner because anything can happen, and plus it's just a straight line, so people are obviously gonna do some weird shenanigans. I don't know what, but I think that overall, then the game is probably gonna sell a lot, just like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and it's gonna have a big impact on Nintendo. And yeah, I just want to tell you guys that it's it's a game that's gonna change the whole perspective of Nintendo. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.